May 20th, 1995. After losing his WBA and IBF titles to Michael Moore, Evander Holyfield is on the comeback trail. His first opponent, merciless Ray Mercer.
After the fight, at the post-press conference, he was saying, man, I was praying to God. He said, man, God, are you sure you want me to do this? You know, because Ray Mercer was giving him all kind of heat.
The fight would be a brawling, bloody 10-round war. Holyfield Mercer starts now on Classic Night at the Fights.
In 1988, he represented the United States in the Seoul Olympic Games, and he brought home heavyweight gold. Now Ray Mercer is 34 years old, and he sees this as his last chance to be among the heavyweight elites. Coming off of a draw against Marion Wilson, a journeyman opponent here in Atlantic City. That was July of last year, 1994. Now he faces the challenge of a comebacking Evander Holyfield. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside light heavyweight John Scully. Mercer comes in at 224 pounds on that 6'1" frame. John, at this stage of his career, 34 years old, the 2 losses, the unenthusiastic draw last summer against Wilson, what does Ray Mercer offer up?
Well, Ray Mercer at his best, if he's motivated, and that's always a key with him, it's always a question mark. If he comes prepared mentally and physically, he's a rock. Like, he's a very tough man. He's very, very durable. He's obviously got the power. He's got killer instinct. Like when he had Morrison hurt, he didn't hesitate. He went for the kill. So he's durable. Like, he's going to make you work. If you want to beat him, you're going to have to work if he's at his best, and that's the big question in my eyes.
Of course, you need to be at your best when you take on Evander Holyfield, at least the Evander Holyfield that everybody has come to know. The question is, what version of Evander Holyfield will Ray Mercer be opposite tonight? It was last year, spring of '94, when he was upset by Michael Moore, and Moore became the first Southpaw heavyweight champion of the world. Just 3 days later, doctors diagnosed Holyfield with a heart defect. Evander made a decision to retire. But a month and a half later, he saw a faith healer, and he said he was healed. Doctors at the Mayo Clinic, the famed institution in Minnesota, verified that. In fact, they said that the heart defect that was diagnosed just days after the Moore fight never even existed. So a clean bill of health for Evander Holyfield, and a return to the ring since last year's upset loss to Michael Moore. What are you expecting out of Holyfield tonight, John?
Again, he's you never know what you're going to get. In the Moore fight, he was very lax, whether it was a heart problem or whatever the case may be. You know, you go against Bo, but when he went against a monster, very big man compared to him, and he's got tremendous will and heart. And you know, even when he's not at his best, he has that. He tries to implement that. The clash of styles here with 2 tough guys that aren't generally going to go anywhere. They're both going to be right there. You know, it should be a very good, entertaining fight with both of them at the level they're at. Like, they're probably both a little bit removed from their best, but they still probably match up very well.
And the other key factor is that for both, this is a critical fight that will determine the remainder of their respective careers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Main Events Monitor, in association with your undisputed, undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Present the featured bout of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. This bout is sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley, Board members Gary Shaw and Al Daniels, Deputy Commissioner Lawrence Wallace, Chief Ringside Physician Dr. Frank B. Doggett, Attending Physicians Dr. Howard Taylor, Dr. Earl Shaw, and Dr. Ken Remsen, Timekeeper Roosevelt Gilbert, And counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Earl Morton. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Eva Shane, Eugene Grant, and Gene Williams. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Ron Lipton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Convention Hall here on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trimmed in gold. He weighed in at 224 pounds. He's a native of Augusta, Georgia, who now lives in Newark, New Jersey, and fights out of the Mark Roberts House of Pain. In 1988, as a U.S. Army sergeant, he captured Olympic gold. And as a professional, he now has a record of 23-2 with 1 draw, and 16 of those 23 victories are by KO, and he's captured a world title. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Merciless Ray Mercer. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trimmed with black, weighing 209 3/4 pounds. This 1984 Olympic bronze medalist has a professional record of 30 victories, 22 by KO, against only 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, from Atlanta, Georgia, presenting the return of the 3-time world champion and former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Evander
Gentlemen, receive the rules from the commission. To avoid any controversy, I remind you now, if you score a knockdown, be careful with your follow-up punches. Do not hit a man on the deck. If either fighter is in trouble and you do not want me to stop the bout, you must show me clearly that you can and want to continue. These trunks, below here is low. Below here, and these trunks are low. No matter what happens out here, obey my commands. Let's keep it strictly professional. Good luck to you both.
Very direct instructions from referee Ron Lipton in this important heavyweight fight, Holyfield and Mercer. Ray Mercer was probably looking at him oddly when he was describing the knockdown instructions. Mercer doesn't know what it's like to be knocked down, never hit the canvas in his career. Mercer in the black with gold trim, the real deal, Evander Holyfield in the white. Trying to work behind that jab.
That's one thing about Evander. Evander has a spectacular jab. When he's on with it, he's very precise with it. Merciless, he has a very heavy jab as well, but I think Holyfield's jab's a little more precise, a little sharper. And in the early going here, I think Holyfield looks pretty good.
Well, that's important, John, because there have been so many questions as to the health of Evander Holyfield. To your eye, right off the bat, this is what you want to see now. The question is, what do you want to see in the middle of the fight and late in the fight when the heart muscle's really tested?
I want to see the same thing I'm seeing now, and I want to see him. His trademark is being able to bite down when he gets tired or fatigued. And against Moore, he obviously faded. It was like he was being held back by an invisible force. And so you'll be able to see around the 5th or 6th round, I think we'll have an idea of mentally where he's at, if he's able to push through that or not.
In terms of the conditioning of Ray Mercer, you know he weighed in at 224 pounds, but he did have to cut a lot of weight to prepare himself for this fight. He was walking around over 260 pounds when he signed for the fight. He dropped down to 240 at the early stages of training camp, and then he came in at what looks to be a very good 224. Holyfield catches him with a left hook.
Holyfield's getting off first here. He's getting off very well, I think. And this isn't the start that Ray Mercer wanted. I'm pretty sure of that.
Mercer working with a new trainer, Tommy Parks. Of course, there's a Tommy in the other corner, Tommy Brooks, alongside Don Turner in the corner of Evander Holyfield. Holyfield wrapping up with that left hand behind the head, and Lipton separates him. Back to the jab for Evander.
He looks good. Jab looks good. Combinations look good. I'd like to see Ray make it a little bit more of a physical fight. Put some pressure on the heart of Evander. It's a brutal game. It sounds brutal, but if he wants to win, he's going to have to test him as much as he can physically.
That test will move on as we come to the end of round number 1 between Evander Holyfield and Ray Mercer. Evander's first round back after the layoff, and the left hook looked good, John.
Yeah, it seems like Evander was trying out several different punches in the first round, trying to see what kind of range he could get with them. And he caught Merciless reaching with that shot. So that was good counter punching on Holyfield's part.
Second round of our heavyweight main event from here at the Atlantic City Convention Hall, right on the boardwalk. No title at stake here, just a 10-rounder, but everything on stake with regard to the careers of both men. You know, we talk so much about the layoff of Holyfield and answering the questions, but Ray Mercer has not fought since last July, and that was an uninspiring effort here in Atlantic City, a draw with Marion Wilson. Prior to that, he had the rematch with Jesse Ferguson.
Even though Evander's controlling the fight so far, but Mercer reacting the way he does, aggressively, you know, putting the pressure on, I think that's going to help him later if Evander's heart isn't up to par 100%. And even mentally, because maybe Evander's in perfect condition, but he's a human being and he's got to have a question in his head. If he probably asks himself, what if something's wrong? What if they're wrong about me? So I think Mercer needs to make it a dog fight and see what kind of condition Evander really is in.
Self-doubts can be just as much an enemy in this game as the opponent who stands opposite you. Back to the jab. Combination blocked. Double jab by Holyfield.
I don't think at a distance like this, at the distance they're at between each other, Evander has the much better arsenal so far. I don't think Ray can stay back like this and box with Evander. I think Evander could continue this mode and win the fight pretty convincingly. I think Mercer needs to step it up. If one of them needs to do something a little differently now, it's Ray.
There's a good right hand right between the guard of Mercer from Holyfield.
See, on the inside there, Ray should take advantage of being able to grab Evander. He shouldn't let that opportunity go. He should push Evander back, force Evander to put pressure on his own legs to stop Ray from maneuvering him around the ring. That's the only way that he's going to get him tired.
Good work from Ray Mercer there.
Let him go. Stop punching.
Right hand comes in from Mercer.
Ray should try and minimize that jab of Holyfield. He should be answering back with his own jab to slow him down.
Does so there, and a right hand by Mercer to close out the second round.
You get as much as you want.
1988 Olympic gold medalist Ray Mercer finished up strong in that second round, John.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ray could have stole the round there at the end. It was kind of an uneventful round, not a really decisive round either way. Showing that aggression and getting Evander off balance a little bit definitely could have tipped it in his favor.
Had the good left hand there, and then the right hand to close out the final seconds of the round.
He thinks he won the round.
Pumped up, and he needs to be. Very important fight for Ray Mercer. He was quoted earlier as saying, this is his time. Feels he needs this to remain among the heavyweight contenders. Right hand after the double jab from Mercer.
See, now Evander's laying back all of a sudden. He's not using his own jab. He's not leading with his own jab, and that turns out bad for him in almost every instance. Now he's kind of pawing, reaching with the jab. If he keeps sticking it in there, he seems to have good success holding Ray off with it, but he's not doing that right now.
Mercer throws a lead right hand before they tie up. Good work with the jab from Mercer. Holyfield triples up his left hand. Nice stinging jab from Mercer, snaps back the head of Holyfield.
Ray looks good with his jab. So far, whoever leads with the jab seems to be winning. So that should, somebody in each corner should point that out. The jab is dictating the fight right now.
Holyfield comes back with the straight left hand after the lunging hook by Mercer. Back to the jab for both men. Holyfield pushes down on the back of the head. Ron Linkton is going to clean off the gloves of Mercer and warn Holyfield for pushing. There's a nice right hand to the body after the jab by Ray Mercer when Holyfield went to lift his left hand. Holyfield returns fire with a left hook. And now the pace picks up here in the final minute of this third round.
Now they're getting it. Now this is a good round. Now they're starting to work. It's a hard round to score too, though. It was slow earlier.
And all of a sudden, the distance between the men has changed. Not necessarily just out at the end of those jabs. More willing to take a step in. Right hand by both men. Hook by Holyfield is blocked. Mercer back to the jab.
If one of them could finish this round from this point on strong, I think he would take the round.
Good third round between Holyfield and Mercer.
You gotta stay with the jab. Soon as you finish, spin. Soon as you finish, spin. Half steps. Understand? Yeah. Breathe. Breathe. Okay. Breathe. Exhale all the way out. Breathe, baby. We got 3 in the bag. We got 3 in the bag.
Convention Hall in Atlantic City on the boardwalk. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside John Scully. The corner of Ray Mercer says we have 3 in the bag. On the other side, Don Turner and Tommy Brooks say you got to stick with the jab. As soon as you're finished, spin, half step. John, as a light heavyweight contender, please explain what they're looking for.
Well, I think so far they've both shown that whoever has the better jab wins the exchanges. And the Holyfield's countering pretty well, while Ray seems to be aggressive in spots like this, and he looks good. So both guys, I think Holyfield's looking to counter off his own jabs and off of Ray's aggression. Ray's got to back Holyfield up a little bit, put some pressure on his heart.
What an exchange here in round 4. Both men willing to trade. Holyfield may have got the better of it.
Now this is the most important part of the exchange here is what Holyfield does when they're done punching. Because it's going to be simple for him to let his hands go. But if he takes another minute before he starts punching again, that's going to be a big problem for him. Like right now, he hasn't really thrown a punch in about 15 seconds. and neither has Mercer for that matter. I think if Mercer was aggressive right now, he could definitely take advantage of something here. But they exchange with each other. You know, it was an even type of exchange, and now neither one of them is really doing anything.
Over a year removed from losing the heavyweight title to Michael Moore in a stunning upset, and spending the better part of that year dealing with medical issues. Retirement after a diagnosis of a heart defect, and then his firm belief in a faith-healing salvation to that problem before the Mayo Clinic and other doctors have verified the fact that Evander Holyfield has no heart defect.
See, Ray's got Evander backing up. He should keep that momentum going. He should force Evander to back up. Don't allow Evander to dictate it, to back up when he wants to. Ray should force him back, push him back any way he has to, even if he has to engage him physically and use his legs to push him back.
Right hand from Mercer. Holyfield throws one of his own. In a roundabout way, what you're basically saying is Ray Mercer's got to act like the bigger, stronger guy who's going to test that heart of Holyfield.
Again, because I don't care who you are, if you're Evander Holyfield right now, you have some questions in your mind. And Ray has to force Holyfield to find the answers to those questions.
End of 4. Ray Mercer looking good early against the two-time former heavyweight champion and the former undisputed cruiserweight champion, Evander Holyfield. There were so many questions concerning Holyfield, the long layoff and coming into this fight, and the challenges just dealing with his own situation. But what a challenge Ray Mercer has been through the first half of this fight.
See, now Ray's using a pretty good jab, but I'd like to see him bend his knees and sit his butt down and push that jab, bang that jab into Evander's chest and his chin and force him to back up. But right now he's only making contact with Evander. He's not making Evander go backwards.
Nice body shot with a right hand after the jab to the midsection. He had success with that earlier, and then comes back with a right hand upstairs, does Ray Mercer. Once again with the right hand.
Now, if he wanted to really play mental games, which most of boxing is mental, especially at this level, he could throw right hands and try to throw them more in the vicinity of Evander's chest, more towards his heart. It may or may not, in reality, have an effect, but mentally, if he keeps doing it, it could raise big questions in Holyfield's mind. That was a trick, actually, that Sugar Ray Robinson used to do. He used to throw good shots at his opponent's heart.
Left-right combination from Holyfield. There was a right hand as Mercer came forward. Holyfield caught him with a right hand. Mercer falls in behind the right hand, and Holyfield gets him behind the head.
I'd like to see Ray be first a little bit more.
Seems like he hasn't worked as much in this 5th round as he did in the previous 4, John.
Right. You know, conditioning is such an important factor, and you know, neither one of these guys seems to be having a tremendous output of punches, especially Evander, who you're used to seeing throw quite a bit more. So it could be, you know, it could be maybe the other guys, each guy punches hard enough to give the other guys respect, and they're altering their game plan a little bit.
Mercer tries to come in and land the combination. And once again, Holyfield was able to pull him down from behind the head. Coming to the halfway point of this scheduled 10-rounder. Round number 6 for merciless Ray Mercer. He needs to be merciless against the 3-time world champion Evander Holyfield. He needs to make sure that he doesn't come off that gas pedal. There were hints of that in the 5th round. Opening combination from Holyfield. Back to the jab for Mercer.
Ray needs to really put that jab into overtime. He really needs to pump that in there, because Evander is not the type of guy you can give him leeway. You can't get away from the jab with him. You can't lower your output against him, because he uses that to his advantage, and he'll definitely step on the gas pedal and take advantage of you in return. You have to match Evander physically and mentally. You have to stay right with him.
Which is one of the reasons why Evander has been so successful in his career, because there aren't a lot of fighters who can match Evander physically and mentally.
His mental and physical strength is amazing when he's on. He's like a sprinter in the 100-yard dash that at the 80-yard line he just takes off and he gets 10 yards on you, and you just feel like there's no way you can catch him. And he gives the guys that feeling. And if Mercer doesn't stay with him, you know, Holyfield will get more confident. That's what Holyfield wants. He wants to see weakness in a man. That's what he takes advantage of.
There's the jab that opens up a combination from Mercer.
Now Mercer should punch again. Now he got off good, and now he just spent 10 seconds doing nothing, and Evander didn't do anything. So he should punch and punch again and try to find a weakness in Holyfield, because if it's there, you'll never find it if you don't push him. If you don't make Evander punch 70, 80, 90, 100 times around, he'll go at this pace 100 rounds. He'll do it.
Mercer came in strong, and Holyfield found him with a short right hand.
Ray's got to bite down. He's got to dig down here and push Evander back and make Evander work.
Good lead right hand from Mercer, and then a snap jab off the hip before they tie up. Mercer now has a little bounce to his step. Another right hand.
To me, it's a little bit too much of a boxing match for Mercer. The fight's getting later, and Evander's only going to get sharper and stronger if they stay at this kind of distance. Mercer's got to make it a different pace fight for him to have any kind of effect on Holyfield's conditioning.
I think that's very sound analysis, and you're dead on right. But having said all that, Mercer, scorecard-wise, you can very much argue this is 3-3 or even 4-2.
Oh, very likely, but the last 4 rounds are going to be huge.
You see that cut now that has opened up over the right eye of Holyfield. Don Turner and Tommy Brooks tending to a cut over the corner of the right eye on Holyfield.
All right, Holy, you got to stay long range, baby. Hold it.
Let's listen in.
Hold it. Listen up. You got to stay long range.
Let's go.
Any more? You got it down. Listen, stay long range with your jab. You letting the guy get too close to you, he pot shotting at you now. Follow what I'm saying?
John Skelly, let's see if we can find how that cut was started. Maybe not there. That looked more like a short right hand by Holyfield, but what about here from Mercer?
Yeah, I would say that's a good shot there. That probably most likely what caused the cut.
So a nice left uppercut from Ray Mercer in that 6th round, and now Holyfield has to contend with the cut over the right eye.
Now Ray looks pretty sharp with his punches here. I'd like to see him establish his jab. Now that Evander's into a little boxing mode, you know, you have to figure maybe he's trying to kill some time and catch his breath. You have to take a gamble that that's what's going on, and that you have to establish yourself physically right here.
Holyfield, of course, as always, in supreme shape at a chiseled 209 pounds. But what kind of shape is his ticker in? That was the question following the Mora fight. He has a clean bill of health. What kind of shape is he in mentally? Will those doubts creep in now that we have reached the back half of the fight? Back to the jab for Mercer.
See, Holyfield's in a defensive posture. He's throwing punches just to hold Ray off, not really to cause damage. And he's trying to set him up and get himself together so he can hit Ray with a hard jab right hand. In the meantime, Ray needs to pile up the points. He can't let Evander get himself together.
1-2 for Mercer.
Now he should do that again. He can't trade punch. You can't go, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. It's not going to work out like Ray wants it to if he does that.
Needs to be more consistent. You can see blood streaming down the face of Evander Holyfield, coming down that right side, and that cut right in the corner of the eye.
See, now Ray's on the move. Evander should settle down and pump his own jab, because these are the type of guys, when they start moving, they're not trying to be Muhammad Ali. They're trying to kill time and kill the clock, and the other guy needs to recognize that and put the jab on him and force him to back up more.
Ron Lipton warning about the clash ahead potential there on the inside. Of course, Holyfield already cut. Nice sharp short left hand by Holyfield as Mercer came forward with the left hand. Back to the jab for Holyfield. Mercer doubles up his left.
Holyfield should pick it up a little bit right here. Ray's inactive because he's trying to catch his breath.
Very close fight here in Atlantic City. You can see that blood streaming down. Big gash near the right eye of the three-time world champion Evander Holyfield. 3 rounds to go. Corner of Evander Holyfield. Trying to work on that cut. And you can see that Holyfield definitely conscious of it, wiping the blood away from his right eye in that 7th round. That will be the concern. Is the blood leaking into that eye? Does it affect his vision? 3 rounds to go. Such an important fight for both men. Holyfield, Mercer here in Atlantic City. Mercer had a good start to the evening. He was working the jab well. On our scorecards, we had him ahead early on. Holyfield has fought better in the middle rounds, but it is tight.
Now you see Holyfield's tentative here. Ray's already thrown about 14 punches, and Evander's only thrown 1 or 2.
And the blood right back down the face. That did not take long. Still in the opening minute of this 8th round, and the work they did on the cut did not hold up at all. Good jab right to that cut right eye by Ray Mercer. So now he's targeting the injury. Stinging jab there. Holyfield yet to get started in this 8th round.
Now that's the worst thing. Ray can't stop there and give Evander confidence, because as long as he's moving, taking little steps and letting his hands go, he's running it. But now he's letting Evander back in.
Holyfield on the offensive attack for a moment, and then 3 consecutive right hands from Mercer. Boy, that cut is looking ugly.
Ray's just got to keep busy this round.
Good jab from Mercer. Needs to work, as you have said, and stay on top of Holyfield. And now the referee, Ron Lipton, calls for an official timeout. Let's see if he's going to bring him to the doctor. Well, they're going to look at that cut. And this could be the end of the evening. Let's see if the doctor lets him continue. Blood is definitely going into the eye, but they're going to let it go. So Holyfield gets a second chance. Will he take advantage?
Now this is definitely Ray's round to win. You can't give it up here and let Evander. Evander's already hurt a little bit with the eye. You can't let Evander take over this round here and give it away.
Well, Mercer's round, no doubt about it. Good 8th round for Ray Mercer, actually whipping that right hand. You can tell he's confident now against Holyfield. They had to take the time out to look at the cut. Ray thinks he's got him where he wants him.
He's definitely keeping him off balance.
Holyfield with a right hand.
You can't wait on the ropes with Evander. Evander
Good left hook.
Come back.
Good left
Here
hook.
it comes.
Oh, and the effects of that left hook looked like Mercer kind of just took a knee on his own. A little delay effect after that left hook from Holyfield.
He got hung up there. Bad move.
So around that Mercer was winning, Holyfield is going to take with ease. Mercer down for the first time in his career.
He thought he had it in the bag and he hung around too long just waiting.
And you cannot do it against a guy like Evander Holyfield.
That was a big mistake. He's going to kick himself for that one.
Give me some ice water.
John, watch for the left hook here. How'd he pull it off?
He just caught him coming. He does what Evander did what he does. He lets his hands go. When you're aggressive with him, without the jab, you have to pump the jab with Evander. You can't just run in throwing punches. He's letting his hands go good, and Mercer's obviously hurt here. Kind of unexpected that he went down. I think it just caught up to him. I don't even think he realized how hurt he was.
Another look. Holyfield stalking his prey. Good short left hook. Put another left hook in there, and then eventually Mercer took a knee. So what was a close fight may have just opened up a bit on the scorecards in favor of Evander Holyfield with the 10-8 8th round. Mercer back to the jab to start this 9th round. But you can see now what looks to be an inspired Evander Holyfield. Hey, John Scully, maybe that visit to the doctor when it was all on the line and the fight could have been called was the best wake-up call of all for Holyfield.
Right, it's very realistic when the doctor comes in and they tell you that something's wrong with you and you need to dig down. A fighter knows, I've got to dig down, and he's definitely got a renewed sense of urgency here. He looks confident, and Ray must know that knockdown was pivotal.
Great turnaround for Holyfield, and also in terms of answering some of the questions that we laid out earlier about the doubts later in the fight, about the heart, the grit, the conditioning, the self-doubts, the mental aspect. Holyfield answering the call here in round number 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any, at this point, he hasn't shown any unusual fatigue any more than could be reasonably expected in a fight like this between two big men.
Gone the other way, in fact, after scoring the knockdown. Energetic here in this 9th round as blood still streams down the right side of his face.
If anything, Ray seems to be a little unsure. He's trying to get a new punching angle every few seconds.
Left hook again comes in from Holyfield. That was the punch that put Mercer down in the 8th round.
Ray doesn't look very confident here. This is where Evander usually turns it on. Evander has a good sense of when his opponent is weakening, just like he did in the first bullfight in the 10th round, the way he came back strong.
One of the greatest rounds in heavyweight boxing history in Bo Holyfield 1. Of course, here we are, a year and a half removed from Holyfield's victory against Riddick Bowe to claim the heavyweight crown, and over a year removed from his shocking upset loss to Michael Moore, and a new chapter written in the book of Evander Holyfield. What an amazing career it's been. What an amazing second half of this fight it's been.
Well, he's definitely got more energy and strength than he did against Moore, that's for sure.
This is a much different Evander Holyfield down the stretch run of this fight than what we saw on that night in Vegas when Moore became the first southpaw heavyweight champion with a majority decision win over Holyfield. They will have 3 minutes to go from Atlantic City.
Press down that foot and just go to him. Don't let him stand for you when you watch him and let him get off. You got to be first. Now or never. You go get him at 500 left so you're a champ. You can win this.
It is now or never for 34-year-old Ray Mercer. And the now came in the 9th round for Evander Holyfield, a 9th round that I felt he won, John Scully.
Yeah, definitely. He looked good that round. He looked rejuvenated, and I think above all else, he erased any doubts that his heart is in working order.
3 minutes to go. 10th and final round. Holyfield and Mercer, the comeback night for Evander Holyfield. They are trying to dam up that cut above the right eye of Holyfield that started in the 6th round. Got so bad that in the 8th round, the ringside physician took a look at it and was maybe considering stopping this fight. Instead, it inspired Holyfield, and he scored a knockdown, and Mercer went down for the first time in his 6+ year pro career. And maybe, just maybe, that has given Holyfield the edge he's been looking for on the judges' scorecards.
Well, I would say Ray definitely needs to fight with a sense of urgency here. I would feel like he's got to feel like he's probably a little bit behind, especially with the knockdown.
He does so with a left-right combination before tying up.
See, Evander's in a little bit of a groove here from the last round and from the knockdown. And Ray backing up as he is not going to help that situation. It's only going to get worse for him if he doesn't show a way for himself to get some respect from Holyfield.
Holyfield stepped forward with a good-looking short right hand moments ago. And it is Holyfield who's the one taking small steps forward, not Mercer, and you would think there would be urgency with Mercer.
I think Evander probably feels like because of Ray's reluctance here at this point through the first half of the round, he probably feels like he's in control. He doesn't really need to get desperate or anything like that because he's not. Ray should be a little bit desperate.
Short left hook from Holyfield. That cut opened up again. It is not held up in any of the 5 rounds that he has had it. Mercer falls in with a right hand and then brings down Holyfield. Well, he fell in, he went to clinch. Holyfield took a couple backward steps, and they ended up in a very awkward position that saw Mercer still hanging on. And you can see Holyfield motioning to his trunks, looking for a little help from the referee, and his trunks are below his guard belt in the back.
I'm surprised that with it on the line like this, that Ray's not really digging down. Apparently he's not digging down. You know, fatigue might be a factor. If anything, he might be the one. We were worried about Holyfield's fatigue level, but I think Ray's probably showing a little bit more than Evander at this point.
I would agree. Holyfield, he hears that 10-second clap, and it's like an alarm going off for him. Good finish. What a different fight it was from that moment in the 8th round onward.
Evander finished nicely, really well.
Right away, they get on top of that cut. That opened up in the 6th round. But John, the 8th round, the moment where the ringside physician looked at Evander Holyfield, that was like an alarm going off for him. An alarm of urgency. And he was a completely different fighter after that.
You know, when the doctor comes in, he doesn't come in for no reason. You know there's a problem, and he can't see the cut, so he has to assume that they called him for a reason, that he's close to being stopped. And Evander, he reacted like a champion should.
Ray Mercer obviously feels good about his performance tonight, especially considering what we've seen of him lately. Holyfield embraces him. Nice sign of sportsmanship and respect.
I wasn't even hurt, I slipped. You're right.
You heard Ray Mercer saying, I wasn't hurt, I slipped. Not the case in the 8th round as the left hook crashed home from Holyfield, and Mercer suffered his first knockdown. Now here's the 10th round when Mercer fell in after that right hand, and they both went down.
Well, Evander tried to step out, and Ray held onto his foot. See that there?
Yep. So Mercer guilty of the tackle there in the 10th round. For most of the night, it seemed like a very close fight. Was the knockdown the difference for Holyfield? Here's Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Gene Williams scores the bout 95-94. Eva Shane has it 97-92. And Eugene Grant scores it 96-93 for the winner by unanimous decision. The Warrior has returned. The winner, Evander Holyfield.
What an important win for Evander Holyfield. He does it by unanimous decision. On one scorecard, the knockdown very much was the difference. But what a very important night for him, erasing so many questions and so many doubts.
Yep, he came through, and I thought he looked very good. I thought he put his punches together well. His conditioning obviously was up to par. So anybody that had doubts about that, I think they should be erased, because he was in there with a big, strong guy, but he looked sharp tonight.
Evander Holyfield, the former two-time heavyweight champion, now moves to 31-2. For Ray Mercer, you see his reaction there, incredulous to the fact that he lost a unanimous decision. Ray Mercer is now 23-3-1. For John Scully, I'm Joe Tessitore. Have a great night.